Incredible moment, Black woman revealed her hidden strength in a life-changing dojo fight. The crowd roared like thunder as Maya stepped into the ring, her heart pounding in her ears. Sweat slicked her brow, and she could feel the weight of every soul in her community on her shoulders. This wasn't just a fight, it was the beating heart of her dreams, each beat echoing her determination to rise above the struggles that sought to drown her spirit. In that moment, she wasn't just a waitress hustling through the evening rush at the diner, she was a warrior, ready to reclaim her life and future. Maya glanced around. The faces of Jaden and Priya, her spirited children, lit up with pride and hope. They believed in her more than anyone ever had. With their wide eyes shining like stars, they reminded her that this fight wasn't merely about money, it was about proving to them, and to herself, that dreams can be forged through sheer grit. Yet, even as adrenaline surged through her veins, doubt nipped at her heels. Could she really take down a champion born of privilege and pedigree? The diner often spilled over with laughter and aroma, fries sizzling, burgers sizzling, families talking. But when Maya drifted into thought, reminding herself of those empty storefronts and rising crime in her neighborhood, reality sank like a stone. Could this dojo fight be her escape, her chance to uplift her kids and the community she loved? The flyer she found, cash prize for the winning champion, felt like destiny wrapped in hope. "Mom, you've got this!" Jaden had shouted, his tiny fists raised in the air. Priya added with that bright, unwavering belief only a child could hold, "You're the strongest, Mommy." Their faith lit a fire within her, a flame igniting the courage that flickered beneath the weight of fear. But as she threw her first punch in the ring, Maya quickly learned this wasn't a mere dance, it was a battle. Each hit from her opponent knocked the air from her lungs, leaving her feeling small, defeated. The crowd, filled with the very people she dreamed of inspiring, went silent. The echoes of disappointment rang louder than the applause that had once surrounded her. As she limped away, every ounce of hope seemed to fade. "Maybe I can't do this," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes as she imagined letting her kids down. But in that moment, Jaden and Priya rushed to her, their hugs wrapping around her like a protective shield. "Mommy, please don't give up." They saw her strength when she couldn't. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Maya wiped her tears, feeling the urge to bury her dreams creeping back. But something stirred inside her, a pulse of resilience came alive. She remembered the teachings of martial arts, not just the punches and kicks, but the heart of it, perseverance. She thought of how many others in her community looked up to her, saw her as a symbol of strength in a world against them. With renewed vigor, she refused to let this be the end. As the rematch loomed, the neighborhood rallied. Her streets filled with paper signs, people cheering her on, their hopes intertwining with hers. Maya had less than a week to prove that she could emerge victorious and empower not just her family, but every child who walked those struggling streets. The night before the fight, as she laid in bed, she whispered to herself, "I won. Just fight for me. I'm fighting for us." The stakes were higher than ever. And as she stood on the edge of the ring, ready to step into battle, she felt an unshakable truth echoing within her: this fight was only just beginning, and perhaps this time, she would earn the victory not just for herself, but for every hopeful heart in her corner. Would she rise like a warrior or remain a lost dream? The next day dawned with a vibrant sunrise painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Maya could feel the electric anticipation buzzing through her veins as she woke up. Today was the day. There was an undeniable energy in the air, stirring her spirit. She took a deep breath, letting the scent of strong coffee and warm bread flood the small kitchen, a reminder of the life she was fighting for. Jaden and Priya were already up, wide-eyed and full of excitement. They buzzed around her like tiny fireflies, their joy infectious. "Mommy, are you ready?" Priya asked, her curls bobbing as she danced in place. Jaden's little hands clutched a makeshift banner he'd drawn, proclaiming, "Go MOM." in bright, colorful crayon strokes. Maya smiled, feeling her heart swell. "I'm ready," she said, but even as she spoke, a tiny knot of anxiety twisted in her stomach. What if it wasn't enough? As she dressed in her fight gear, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Strong, determined, but vulnerable. The face staring back was the same one that wore an apron at the diner and wiped away the tears of her children. "Can I come with you to the dojo?" Jaden asked, his voice hopeful. "Of course, baby," she replied instantly, but the fear inside her wavered. Did she want them to see her fail again? She shook her head, dismissing the thought. No matter what happened, she needed to show them that getting knocked down wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something greater. As they reached the dojo, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Familiar faces from the neighborhood crowded around. There were whispers of encouragement. "You got this, Maya. We believe in you." They brought laughter and love, filling her with the strength of 100 warriors. Maya stepped inside the dojo, the pungent scent of sweat and energy swirling around her. She could feel the eyes of her opponent, a fierce competitor who had trained since childhood, sizing her up. Confidence dripped from her as she watched him move, calculating and precise. The roar of the crowd was a distant pulse. All that mattered was the battle ahead. The announcer's voice boomed through the space, shattering her focus. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event." The audience erupted, cheers and screams mixing into a harmonious chaos. In that roar, Maya found a spot of calm. The first round began, and each movement felt like an eternity. Maya threw her punches driven by passion and the love for her kids, channeling the dreams she had for them. She was fierce and unyielding, but her opponent was relentless, countering her every move. Each blow felt sharper than the last, fatigue pressing down like an anchor. Yet as she glanced toward Jaden and Priya, their faces lit with pride, everything else faded. She was fighting for them, pushing through the aching muscles and burning lungs, reminding herself, "This is not just my fight." The match turned. With one swift move, Maya pivoted on her foot and struck. The impact sent shockwaves through the ring, surprising her opponent. The crowd gasped, and then erupted in applause. Maya's heart raced. She could feel it, the surge of hope, the sweet taste of redemption. Maybe, just maybe, she could conquer not only the fight but all the doubts that clouded her mind. As the final round rounded, something deep inside her ignited. She was no longer just a waitress or a single mom trying to make ends meet. She was every resilient fighter who had risen before her. With every jab and kick, she poured her heart into the battle, but just as she thought she might secure her victory, a well-placed blow caught her off guard. Pain shot through her side, and she staggered back. Doubt flared within her momentarily, but she couldn't afford to falter, not now. Would this be the moment that defined her journey? Or was there another spark left in her? The crowd's energy faded to silence as she fought to regain her balance, both physically and emotionally. And as she took a deep breath, ready to summon her last push, one question loomed in the air: was this the moment she would truly find herself? Maya took a deep breath, and it felt like lifting a weight off her chest. She focused on the tightness in her muscles. The ache reminded her she was alive, that she was here fighting not just for herself but for everything she held dear. The crowd buzzed around her, a soft whisper she couldn't quite hear, but their energy surged through her. As her opponent advanced, he seemed to sense her moment of hesitation, and for a brief second, she feared she'd lost her grip on the fight. But that wasn't who she was. Not today. Not ever. With a sudden clarity, she grounded herself, visualizing Jaden and Priya cheering her on. Their bright smiles became the fuel she desperately needed. She remembered the early mornings, the countless hours spent training between work shifts and bedtime stories. Every bruise, every drop of sweat, all the struggles weren't for nothing. They had led her to this moment. She could feel a fire igniting within, warm and fierce, a reminder that she had overcome so much. Maya launched herself forward, throwing her fists with renewed determination. She could sense the crowd around her, their anticipation palpable. It felt like her heartbeat was synchronized with their cheers, each echoing yell lifting her spirits higher. With every hit, she grew bolder, feeling the rhythm of the fight flow through her, moving like a dancer on the mat, the weight of doubt lifting away. She connected with her opponent's side, landing a sharp blow that sent him staggering. The crowd roared, but it was as if the sound enveloped her like a hug, infusing her with strength. She pressed on, weaving between her opponent's attacks, her body responding instinctively. This wasn't just about survival, this was liberation, but no sooner had she found her footing than her opponent retaliated. He surged forward, landing a punch that rocked her to her core. Pain radiated through her, a stark reminder of her vulnerability. Maya stumbled back, vision blurring momentarily. But deep down, she felt something shift. The pain was real, but so was her resolve. For a fleeting second, fear crept in. What if she fell again? What if she didn't have what it took? But those thoughts had no place here. With Jaden and Priya's faces flashing through her mind, she shook her head and forced herself to push through. The fight continued, a dance of determination and heartache, weaving together the laughter and tears of her journey. She could feel the walls of the dojo closing in, anchoring her to the moment, reminding her the fight was just as much physical as it was spiritual. With one final surge of energy, Maya landed a series of quick strikes, each one sharper than the last. She could see the spark of surprise in her opponent's eyes, and for the first time, he looked unsure. The crowd erupted, their cheers amplifying the force of her confidence. "Come on, Maya!" they chanted, voices rising like the crescendo of a song. She could almost taste victory, but the true test was still ahead. Could she keep this momentum and finish strong? Adrenaline coursed through her veins as she planted her feet firmly again. She was ready to give it everything. But in the last moments of the match, as she prepared for her decisive move, she caught sight of her children. Their faces were filled with hope, shining bright in the midst of uncertainty. What if she stumbled? What if she fell once again? But in that moment, the stakes felt higher than ever, and she wasn't just fighting for the win. She was fighting for their belief in her. With her heart pounding and the world fading away, Maya sensed this was at the moment where everything would change. Would she embrace the strength she had been hiding deep inside? Or would she risk everything to rise again, no matter the outcome? Maya's breath hitched as she felt the weight of her children's eyes on her. In that split second, the world around her blurred into a backdrop of indistinct noise and movement. No longer just a fight, this was a testament to every struggle, every late night, every moment of doubt that she had turned into resolve. This was for them. The energy in the dojo crackled, charged with sheer intensity. She could feel the pulse of the crowd, their hopes, their fears, all interwoven like a tapestry of life. The cheers roared louder, a wave crashing over her, urging her onward. With one last glance at Jaden and Priya, she felt invincible. They believed in her, and that belief became her armor. Maya squared her shoulders. She had trained too hard, fought too fiercely to let a moment of doubt steal this from her. She could see it now, the victory within her grasp, shimmering like a beacon. All she needed to do was reach for it. Her opponent charged again, fueled by desperation and anger. This was a man who felt the pressure of defeat closing in on him. But Maya was not the same woman who had walked into this dojo so long ago. She had transformed, inside and out. With a deep breath, she sidestepped and let him overshoot. As he stumbled past her, she pivoted and channeled every ounce of her spirit into a powerful elbow strike, a move she had practiced for countless hours. The impact echoed in the dojo. A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd, followed by a thunderous cheer. The punch threw him off balance, and he staggered before crashing to the mat. Time stood still. Maya's heart raced as she saw his disbelief transform into something darker. Anger surged through him like lightning, and the fight shifted suddenly, unpredictably. He was rising again, flames in his eyes, fueled by humiliation and frustration. "Stay focused," Maya whispered to herself, shaking off the icy grip of fear that threatened to creep back in. She wasn't here to fight out of anger, she was here to fight for love. She managed to intercept his next blow, grasping his wrist with a fierce grip. The strength within her surged up, invincible and potent, and as she twisted, she spun him around completely. The crowd erupted, all of their voices blending into one powerful roar of encouragement. With a swift movement, she ducked low and swept his legs out from under him. He fell again, hard, the thud reverberating through the air. But she wasn't finished, the fire within still burned bright. "Keep going. You've got this." Jaden's voice cut through the noise, sharp and clear. Maya's focus sharpened. It was time to end it. She climbed on top of him, straddling his waist, pinning his arms to the mat. Breaths quickened as the gravity of the situation hit her. This was a chance to change everything, to break free from the past that had held her back. The room hummed with anticipation, the crowd leaning forward in their seats, eyes wide with excitement. Would she tap into that hidden strength? As she locked eyes with her opponent, she saw the uncertainty flicker there, the doubt that she had once known so well. It was a reflection of her own journey. She couldn't let it slip away. This is more than just a fight, she thought, using every ounce of force to keep him pinned. This is a future. But was it over? The tension hung thick in the air, and just as she prepared to secure her victory, something shifted in her gut. Would she be able to truly let it all go, to step fully into this new identity, or was there a part of her still clinging to the past? The stakes had never been higher. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she braced herself for whatever came next. Would her choice lead to freedom, or was there something darker lurking just beyond this moment? Maya felt a rush of determination swell as she held her opponent down. Every drop of sweat, every tear shed during long practice nights played through her mind like a movie reel. She was here, in this moment, and nothing could take that away from her. Pushing against his strength, she felt the fabric of his uniform tearing under the pressure. The energy from the crowd surged, a tidal wave of emotion that swept through the dojo. Cheers filled the air, a cacophony of hope and admiration. It was intoxicating. But the flicker of doubt still lingered within her, gnawing at the corners of her mind. What if this moment could shatter her instead of liberating her? What if she failed here, in front of her children, in front of everyone who had supported her journey? But then she thought of Jaden's face, so proud and fierce, and Priya, holding tightly to their mother's hopes. They needed her to push through the fear. They needed her strength. She wasn't just fighting for a title, she was fighting for her life, for them, and for the promise she made to herself to never back down again. With a newfound clarity, she tightened her grip. This isn't just about winning, she breathed under her breath, channeling all her energy into her body. It's about becoming. Her opponent's eyes flashed with renewed vigor, fighting against her hold. Anger danced across his features, and with a sudden burst of strength, he twisted, trying to throw her off. For a heartbeat, it felt as though he might succeed. But Maya, grounded in her purpose, didn't budge. She reflected on the countless times she had faced obstacles both on and off the mat. No more hesitation, no more longing for safer paths. Summoning the core of her spirit, she adjusted her position and leaned into him. In one powerful motion, she pivoted, forcing him onto his back while she repositioned herself to secure a hold on his body, an arm across his throat. The crowd erupted again, a wave of roaring encouragement that felt like electricity against her skin. They were with her, each cheer wrapping around her like a shield. She visualized the future waiting for her beyond this match, birthday parties filled with laughter, late-night talks about anything and everything, and seeing Jaden and Priya grow into the people they were destined to be. within those thoughts, Maya felt herself shift. She was not losing, she was winning, not just in the fight but in life. "Just let it go," she whispered to herself as she tightened her hold. The moment was almost tangible, the transition between her past self and the woman she had become. She could sense it nearing its culmination. But then a jarring thought crossed her mind. As much as she wanted this triumph, what would it mean for her opponent, a man desperate for validation? Would her victory further fuel the divide between them, or could it bridge some unseen gap? Maya hesitated, the noise of the crowd fading to a hum, and for one fleeting second, she saw him not just as an opponent but as someone whose journey intersected with hers. Would her compassion win here, or would her drive continue to fuel this fight? In the split second before she made the decision that could change everything, time slowed. Would she let go, finding strength in vulnerability, or would she lock into the relentless fight that had defined her for so long? This moment could determine everything. Would she find the grace to embrace not just her victory, but what it could mean for them both? Would she finally understand the true nature of strength? The air was thick with uncertainty, electric with the weight of her choice. Maya felt the energy of the crowd pulse around her, and the moment stretched like a taut rubber band. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears, thrumming with a mix of adrenaline and anxiety. She could feel her opponent's muscles straining beneath her grip, but it wasn't just the physical struggle that set them apart, it was the weight of expectation. Would her triumph diminish his fight for recognition, or would they both find a way to emerge stronger? Time seemed to inch forward as she processed her choice. Letting go would mean surrendering her position, and the fear of losing everything she had worked for loomed large. But in that heartbeat of silence, she sensed an opening, a flickering path towards something beyond just victory. With a deep breath, Maya committed to her decision. She loosened her hold slightly, allowing her opponent a moment to escape. The crowd gasped, the sound a collective intake of breath as if the very air had shifted. For a heartbeat, everything hung in suspense. Her opponent, hesitant at first, widened his eyes in disbelief but seized the opportunity. He scrambled out of the hold, rolling away but not advancing, caught off guard by this unexpected alliance birthed in the fight. Maya stood tall, the impact of her choice sending pulses of warmth through her. She wasn't merely letting him off the hook, she was redefining victory. In doing so, she felt a kinship that transcended the competition. It was humanity playing out on the mat, a dance of resilience, vulnerability, and understanding. A ripple of murmurs swept through the audience. Some roared in approval, others voiced confusion. But Maya didn't need their validation. What mattered was the fire ignited in her heart, reshaping her understanding of strength. It wasn't about overpowering someone. True strength lay in lifting others up. The two of them stood facing each other, breathing hard. In that moment, they were no longer just competitors. Instead, they formed a bond forged by shared experiences, struggles, and triumphs. As if sensing the change, the crowd began to chant, "Fight! Fight!" But this was different. They weren't demanding a clash, they were cheering for understanding, something deeper than mere competition. Her opponent met her gaze, and Maya saw the flicker of recognition. He was more than just an adversary. He was a fellow fighter, one who had borne his own burdens and now stood before her, perhaps questioning his own journey as well. "Let us continue the fight," he said, his voice steady. "Together." Maya smiled, feeling the tension melt away. "Together," she echoed back, the word wrapping around them like a lifeline. They resumed, not as enemies but as teammates, sharing the crowd's energy, pushing each other beyond limits they once thought unbreakable. They grappled, exchanged holds, strained under each other's weight, only now it felt different, charged with purpose, a dance of strength, camaraderie, and respect. The cheers from the crowd grew louder, a rhythm of encouragement and awe. Maya could feel her children's eyes on her, hope glimmering in their gaze, filling her with warmth. Would this new understanding shift the narrative of their lives? Could they shape a future where victories are not just personal but shared? As the duel continued, she realized this was more than a match, it was a moment of transformation, forging connections that might redefine the fight itself. But in the back of her mind, another concern lingered: would the world see this as a true victory, or would they cling to the age-old notion of winning as dominating? And so, as they pushed against each other, heartbeats sinking in a shared struggle, Maya wondered where this path would lead both in this match and beyond. Would this newfound unity spark change not just for them, but for everyone waiting back home, hoping for something greater? What lay ahead was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: the true battle was just beginning. The crowd erupted into a cacophony of excitement, voices intertwining in exhilaration. It wasn't just about a fight anymore, it was about a profound shift. People stood on their feet, eyes wide in disbelief and awe, as they witnessed something unexpected, a testament to resilience and humanity. Maya and her opponent moved in sync, their bodies entwined in a fluid dance that transcended the physical. The effort was no longer singular, it was about mutual support. Each time they shifted their weight, they seemed to elevate one another, transforming strength into a force of unity. "I've always wanted to fight for something bigger," Maya whispered in between breaths. "To change the way people see us." He nodded, determination sharpening his features. "You're doing just that. In this moment, we're rewriting the rules." As they continued to grapple and maneuver, the crowd's energy surged. They were no longer cheering for a winner or a loser. Instead, they shouted for seen and unseen barriers to break down, for connection over conflict. The notion of individuality faded, merging into a collective identity. It felt electric, and Maya could feel the weight of her children's hopes resting on her shoulders, lifting her higher. "Keep pushing," someone in the corner yelled, inspiring Maya to dig deeper. She knew the significance of her choice, she could feel the invisible threads of hope connecting everyone present. Yet, doubt still lingered at the back of her mind. Would this be enough? What if the world still craved the old narrative of conflict? Then it happened. A moment so sublime, they were caught in a still frame of resilience. Maya paused, chest heaving, breath coming fast. She locked eyes with her opponent. In that silence, she saw the reflection of her own fears and dreams mirrored in his gaze. Suddenly, laughter broke free from her lips, and he joined in, as if both acknowledging the absurdity of the fight. "This is ridiculous, isn't it?" she said, wiping a bead of sweat from her brow. "In the best way possible," he replied with a smile that radiated warmth. They fell back into the rhythm of their moves, each twist and turn a celebration rather than a battle. With every slam and grapple, they were building something profound, a statement bigger than themselves. As the match wore on, new faces began filtering into the dojo. Young followers, parents seeking something different for their children, and curious onlookers arrived to see what was drawing the crowd. Conversations escalated into whispers of admiration. They sensed the shift happening before their eyes, but even amidst the excitement, a thought prickled at Maya's heart: would this moment resonate beyond the dojo? Could it spark a ripple of change in their community and the larger world? With each hold, Maya felt not just the tension of muscle against muscle but a collective heartbeat, the very essence of everyone's hopes and dreams intertwined. They were reaching a threshold, and the fear bubbling within her began to bubble over into something more. Just then, one of her children called out from the edge of the crowd, "Mom! You're amazing!" A swell of pride pushed through her, igniting every fiber of her being. Maya glanced at her opponent, and they shared a knowing look. This was not just a fight, it was a catalyst for change. They had already won, no matter the outcome. As they prepared for the final moments, braced for what was to come, she couldn't shake the thought: what more could they accomplish together? Was their journey just beginning, with the entire dojo watching, waiting for a lesson well beyond a mere match? The final push felt monumental, a culmination of shared dreams and the promise of transformation. But had they already crossed a threshold that even they couldn't fully comprehend? And what lay on the other side? The air crackled with anticipation as Maya and her opponent held their final position, breath mingling with the electric atmosphere. The sounds of the dojo faded away, leaving only the rhythmic beat of their hearts. Maya looked around, noticing the faces illuminated by an unfamiliar light, a mix of admiration and hope reflecting back at her. "Are you ready?" her opponent asked, his voice steady yet filled with warmth. "More than ever," she replied, her heart pounding against her chest. This was the moment she had been waiting for. With a shared nod, they surged forward, unleashing every ounce of strength and spirit remaining in them. It was a burst of visceral energy, a blend of sweat and adrenaline that drew the crowd closer. People leaned in, eyes wide, fully absorbed in this unexpected collaboration. As they twirled and spun, their movements morphed into something transcendent. Each grapple was a lesson in resilience, an unspoken promise that they had each other's backs. The fight transformed, becoming less about offense and defense and more about expression and freedom. The dojo erupted as they executed a flawless maneuver, a backflip that landed them both gracefully on their feet. Laughter and cheers shot through the room, igniting bursts of encouragement that reverberated off the walls. They had captivated their audience, weaving their strengths together to create something wholly new. Maya felt the warmth of the crowd wrap around her like a comforting embrace. No longer was she just a woman in a fight, she was a symbol of change. Shouts of victory erupted from the audience, chanting her name, affirming her journey. She caught a glimpse of her children, wide-eyed and full of pride. In that moment, any remaining doubts fell away. This was about more than just a fight, it was a movement. Maya's spirit soared higher as she understood the gravity of what they were doing. Together, she and her opponent were becoming advocates of a deeper understanding, breaking through the preconceived notions of competition. But then, as they prepared to close the match, the dojo doors swung open dramatically. A figure entered, silhouetted against the outside light, and the crowd's energy shifted. The loud cheers turned into murmurs of curiosity. Maya's focus broke as she turned to see who interrupted the moment. That it was a local news reporter, holding a camera and a microphone, eyes wide with excitement. "We just got word of what's happening in here. Can I get a few words?" Maya's heart sank and raced all at once. The media? This changed everything. Would they twist their message or amplify it? She had fought so hard for authenticity, and now it felt like they were teetering on a new precipice. Her opponent met her gaze, a silent question hanging between them: should they engage? Maya could feel the weight of the crowd's expectations and her own voice urging her to stand strong. This wasn't just about fighting anymore, it was about representing their vision on a larger scale. As she took a deep breath, the reporter moved closer, ready to capture their words. The dojo held its breath, awaiting the truth that had just crossed over from a mere match to something much larger. What could they say? How far could this go? With her heart racing and a resolute hope blooming, Maya knew they were about to take yet another significant step. But would they be able to keep the essence of their fight genuine as the world watched? The time for clarity was now. Maya inhaled deeply, searching for the right words as the reporter's eager gaze drew nearer. She could sense the eyes of the crowd boring into her, a mix of expectation and hope swirling around her in palpable waves. This was more than just a fight, it was a chance to voice what she felt in her heart. Sure, Maya finally managed, her voice steady despite her nerves. "What do you want to know?" The reporter beamed, microphone raised like a torch. "What inspired you to take this approach? It feels different, almost revolutionary." Maya exchanged glances with her opponent, feeling a silent camaraderie. They both had fought their own battles, both on and off the mat. It wasn't just about wins or losses, it was the spirit of unity they had forged here today. "I think," she began, then paused. She looked around the dojo, seeing her children's faces illuminating the sea of onlookers. "It's about understanding. About coming together rather than tearing each other down. We're showing that competition doesn't have to be antagonistic." The crowd erupted into applause, and Maya felt a surge of warmth wash over her. This was their moment, and they were sharing it fully. The reporter nodded, clearly impressed, as she followed up with another question. And what does this mean for the community? Maya's heart swelled as she felt the importance of her words. It means we can support one another. Everyone has a story, and there's strength in sharing those experiences. My journey has taught me that overcoming challenges is not done alone. We are better together. As she spoke, she could see the impact her words were having. People leaned forward, nodding as if drinking in every syllable. Those mundane moments of doubt she had once known seemed like a distant memory, replaced by resolve. She had stepped beyond her individual fight and embraced something much larger. Her opponent stepped closer, adding his voice. This isn't just about fighting techniques. It's about life, resilience, and hope. We need to be a beacon of encouragement for everyone who thinks they don't belong. More applause. Maya noticed her children beaming with pride, their faces shining bright with inspiration. That light ignited something deeper within her, a renewed promise to keep pushing for change, to keep fighting for inclusivity. She realized they were part of a powerful movement, much greater than she had ever dreamed, but then, just as she felt invincible, the reporter's next question pierced through the positivity. What do you think about the critics? Are you worried they might misinterpret your intentions? Maya hesitated. The question had a weight that made her heart thump. Critics had always been a part of any journey. They could tarnish the beauty of a moment, twist it with negativity, breed uncertainty. But in this instant, amidst the warmth of the dojo, she felt ready to confront that. Every voice matters, including the critics, she finally said with a firm yet gentle tone. But we won't let fear sway us. We'll keep true to our message and continue fostering understanding, even through adversity. Once again, the crowd responded, a mix of cheers and shouts of agreement filled the air. But the reporter's expression shifted slightly, as if she sensed that Maya had more to say. Maya's heart raced again, an indefinable mix of hope and caution flooding her veins. A truth, much like the light filtering through the dojo doors just a moment before, began to illuminate her inner thoughts. As her mind raced with possibilities, Maya could feel that something greater was on the horizon. What were they really unleashing in this fight for unity? What would their next step hold? The thought hung heavily in the air as Maya stood there, the crowd's fervor like an electric current at her back. Little did they know how monumental the aftermath would become. The world beyond those doors would soon demand answers, and the fight was far from over. Would they be ready for the journey that lay ahead? Maya stood at the center of the dojo, surrounded by the echoes of the crowd that had transformed from mere spectators into a vibrant community. The reporter's question lingered in the air, and she felt the gravity of the moment settle over her like a warm embrace. The energy crackled all around, and every gaze felt like a heartbeat of hope. Are you ready for what comes next? She thought, her pulse racing in anticipation. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about Jaden, Priya, and everyone looking for something more. It's about fighting for a future where dreams don't just exist in the shadows. Maya took a step forward, feeling the rhythm of the moment sweep through her. We're not afraid of where this path leads, she declared, her voice ringing clear. We're choosing to uplift each other, to redefine how we see strength. Her opponent stood beside her, nodding in agreement. This fight is about collaboration, not competition, he added, his tone echoing Maya's conviction. They were partners now, united in their intent to show the world that strength lay in solidarity rather than division. Gasps of awe and admiration rippled through the crowd. Maya could see Jaden and Priya, their eyes glistening with pride. They believed in her, and now the world had a chance to witness the power of genuine connection. Together, they were no longer just fighters, they were advocates for a change that stretched far beyond the dojo's walls. The reporter leaned in closer, intrigued. What do you hope the takeaway will be from this fight? She asked, her interest almost tangible. Maya felt the words uncoil within her. This was a chance to share their vision. We hope to inspire dialogue. To show that everyone has a role in shaping our narrative. We are a community, not a battlefield. Let's fight for each other's dreams instead of competing against them. A wave of applause erupted, louder than before. It echoed off the walls, vibrating through the dojo like a heartbeat. Maya's heart swelled with joy, the crowd's enthusiasm a fuel that lit her spirit ablaze. "Let us do this. No more division." Someone shouted from the back, and the cheers rose, filling the room with an overwhelming feeling of possibility. This wasn't just a victory in the ring, it was a shift in mindset, a pathway toward empathy and unity. Maya locked eyes with her opponent again. "This is our moment," she whispered, their shared understanding palpable. They were writing a new script, one where connection and community defined success. As the two fighters stepped back, readying themselves for this new chapter, the crowd erupted once again. "Together! Together! Together!" They chanted, the rhythm weaving a tapestry of hope. Maya could feel the overwhelming emotion welling up inside her. She glanced at Jaden and Priya, their faces shining with pride and awe, and it ignited something fierce within her. This was about them, their future, every child dreaming of something greater. With one last breath, Maya raised her arms high. "This fight goes beyond this moment, beyond this dojo. We refuse to let dreams die in silence. We'll support each other, lift each other up." The cheers crescendoed, molding the air with determination. Every voice blended into a powerful chorus that solidified their commitment to each other and the dreams that ignited their path. Maya smiled as she felt tears of joy flood her eyes. She wasn't just a fighter anymore. She was a champion of change, fueled by a community's unwavering belief in her journey. A radiant smile broke across her face as the crowd responded, an ocean of support and solidarity washed over her. The dojo doors stood wide open, inviting the world to embrace this brave new vision. As the last chant of encouragement settled, Maya knew this was just the beginning. Their fight would become a call for understanding, a tattoo inked into the fabric of their lives, destined to stretch beyond borders and barriers. And with that realization, she took a step forward into the future, a heart full of hope, ready to transform the world, one dream at a time. Now, dear friends and family, here's your chance to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to catch our next stories of inspiration and transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Do me a favor and leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really makes a difference. Comment below how you felt about this incredible ending, and don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread the hope together.